Over the past several weeks, we've seen multiple global technology companies freeze hiring and going through layoffs, bracing for a possible recession and market correction after the pandemic saw tech stocks soar. Now, with more on what tech employees should know about these circumstances, we are joined now by employment lawyer Alex Lucifero. Hi, Alex. Thanks for joining us.
Afternoon, Megan.
Alex, can we start with employee rights in a mass layoff? What happens?
Sure. Well, when an employee is let go, whether it's a mass layoff or whether it's an individual termination, ultimately we're talking about severance here. Megan, that is effectively the recourse that an employee has when they're let go. Severance is going to be based on an employee's age, position, and years of service. So the longer an employee's worked for the same employer, the older they are, the more senior, the more specialized their position is, the more severance they are going to receive. Those are effectively their rights, their entitlements upon termination. Severance is often much more than what an employer either offers initially upon termination and what an employee thinks they might be owed. So it's important that employees always review their severance packages before signing off.
Okay, to follow up on that one, does the industry or sector matter in determining your severance entitlements?
It can certainly matter, only because ultimately the purpose of severance is that it's meant to hold an employee over until they can find new work, meant to kind of compensate for that loss of employment. And so if a particular industry or sector is having a hard time, it simply means that these employees might have a harder time finding that next job, finding new employment. And for that reason, Megan, an employee's severance package may actually be enhanced, their severance period extended, because it might be that much harder for them to find new work.
Okay, and we don't know exactly what's going to happen next, but what should employees interviewing or beginning tech jobs know in order to protect their rights? Do you have tips for them?
Yeah, and I would say whether it's a tech sector job or really any other line of work, it is important that employees always review their employment contracts, their employment agreements, their offer letters. Oftentimes, employees will look at, of course, their pay, their benefits, their vacation entitlements, and simply sign off on an offer. It is important to look at the details. Oftentimes, and particularly nowadays, there'll be language about severance and termination entitlements. There'll be language about temporary layoffs, perhaps, or competition, non-competition language. And so it is important to understand those terms. And oftentimes, those kinds of provisions are negotiable. And certainly employees can get their severance packages or their employment contracts reviewed by an employment lawyer.
Okay, and then just quickly, because we have a couple seconds here, if you are being laid off, do the rules change a little bit? Can you go back and say maybe you want more severance, or maybe you want to eliminate some of those rules because you didn't anticipate leaving, or is it still standard?
Well, certainly when we're talking about a severance package, it is important not to sign on the spot. You want to make sure that you are getting a fair shake, that you are getting what you owed. And so again, rather than just signing off blindly on a severance package, you should be discussing those terms with an employment lawyer. Make sure you get proper advice in that respect. And quite frankly, the same goes for an employment agreement. You have to understand what you're agreeing to, what the bargain is. And if you don't understand what an employment contract says, again, you need some professional advice in that respect.
All right, great tips. That's employment lawyer Alex Lucifero. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.